What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Hops Geek News, your home for comic book news, movie news, TV news, and then, of course, we always typically have a beer of the week. And, of course, today's episode is going to be all about some really good comic books that have come out this previous week called Geiger, Redcoat, Rook Exodus, aka Ghost Machine Day, and then also we talk about some minor threats, The Fastest Way Down, the Principles of Necromancy, and so much more. I am Matt. With me, as always, is Lauren. Go ahead, subscribe, like, share, all of that good stuff. Hops Geek News is where you can find us on social media. That's where you can find us on every single podcasting platform if you've stumbled upon us. And then, as always, if you want to support the show, patreon.com/hopsgeeknews is how you can do so. Everything goes right back into the show. Lauren has been working really hard on a really cool new layout or a logo, I should say. So make some fun stickers. Maybe we got some more merch coming back out because it's been a while since we've done a merch drop. So with that said, it's morning time. So I'm drinking water, the nectar of the gods. No beer this week as I will be drinking water. But
I love the cup choice, though. It's Disney on Ice for anybody who's just listening.
It is. Yes. The Disney on Ice cup. It's the big cup for water. But Lauren, what's up? What do you got going on over there?
I just got coffee. I got it in my Batu mug, which I love these Starbucks.
I love those mugs so much.
Yeah. Well, I have like the little 4-mug display thing. So I have Mustafar and Navarro and Naboo and Batu, and I have them all in chronological order. But I do want to I want to do a shout out because, this past Sunday was Easter and obviously we're not drinking now, but I did get to drink some beers this weekend that were phenomenal. One of them that has inadvertently become an Easter tradition with my dad and I is Cigar City's Hunapoo, which Hunapoo kind of put Florida on the map a little bit for stouts. I wouldn't say a little bit, big time. A lot of people love Highlight too. That's their like flagship beer. While they're more bigger beer these days, Hunapoo is still such a fantastic imperial stout. So if you have never had one and you're into beer, especially dark beers, and you ever come across this, definitely check it out. And another one we had this weekend was from Hill Farmstead Brewing, which
that's a good one. Yeah, Vermont.
Yeah. So it was Everett American Porter aged in bourbon barrels, which was absolutely fantastic. And yeah, if you're ever in Vermont and you're doing the Alchemist and all that, don't skip Hill Farmstead. But they do have not the best hours. They have typical brewery hours for a small business. So check those hours before because we almost missed them. So yeah, highly recommend that. And it's a gorgeous spot, which, I'm always
beautiful anyways. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it up there. It's so peaceful. There's something like really quiet and it smells fresh air, largely because of all the Green Mountains. It is the Green Mountain State, duh. But my favorite thing,
alive there.
They are. Every
music
time the snow melts, I absolutely love it. Just looks like Jurassic Park. I say it all the time. We talk about Vermont, but it just becomes so green so fast and it's so beautiful. And there's so many cool like streams and rivers. And I've swam in so many rivers in Vermont. It's beautiful.
Ice cold because it's like the melted snow.
Yes. It's all straight from all that kind of stuff. So if this is also your first time, though, we like to talk about what we're drinking, what we've messed up on, looked into, what we've been reading or watching, and then also we talk about some news before our main topic. So let's go into what we've been reading or watching. Lauren, what have you been reading, watching, doing all sorts of goods the last week?
So outside of the comics we're going to be talking about, I did catch up on some comics this weekend, but I don't even remember what they were now. Just went so fast. But I haven't really watched anything, but I am almost halfway through the Dune book. So the first Dune book is the first 2 movies. It's almost 900 pages long. I did not know that when I ordered it online. I'm almost to 400, so I'm still not even halfway done. But I'm very much so enjoying it. And the last week in April, we're going to do a Dune episode. So I will have read the book and watched the 2 movies because I know Matt is itching to talk Dune. And that will lead us into May, which is Star Wars month, because Dune obviously has some, I would say it must have inspired George Lucas. You got
definitely.
You got the sandworms, but I'm really liking it. I was surprised when somebody died so early on. I was a little disappointed. I thought they were going to be there. I knew they were going to die because they tell you basically immediately. It's like,
you haven't seen the movies, right?
Right. So I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. Yeah.
So that's why I have successfully avoided spoilers. Obviously, if I didn't know that this one person died, well, I knew they were going, because in it, they're like talking about at the beginning of every chapter, there's somebody talking and they're talking about the past. Like this was the story of it. And it's just a little excerpt and then they get into it. So I knew he was going to die, but I didn't know he was going to die that soon. But what's funny, and like Stacey actually mentioned, because she has the book as well, she's reading it, but she's seen the movie. So she's like, it's helping with the names. Because if you read the Game of Thrones books, that is so hard with the names if you haven't watched.
Game of Thrones gets so confusing with names. I'm kind of bad with names anyways a little bit, especially when you kind of start talking who's this, who's that, and you don't see him again for like 3 episodes or, however many pages, and I'm just like, "Wait, who are you again?"
Right. So what I've started doing is I pull up the IMDb page. So I'm like, oh, okay, that's Cable.
Ah.
Oh, okay, that's Aquaman. So I can see them and that helps. But what drives me nuts, and a lot of authors do this, this isn't just the Dune book where they interchangeably will use the first name and the last name of the same person.
Yeah.
I cannot stand that. But that
You're
is
just
not
like, "What are we
uncommon.
doing?"
I'm like, oh, that's the same person. Okay, that makes sense. But I'm enjoying the book. I'm definitely gonna have it finished by the end of the month, and I'm really excited to watch the movies now. The crazy thing that was in the book, my daughter's like, "Oh, has Zendaya showed up?" No, and she's like,
Oh,
"Well, how do you know
yeah.
she hasn't shown up?" I'm like, "Because I looked up what her name is. She has not shown up."
Yeah. That's right. I
So
was like, "Wait, how do you know?" That's your IMDb page, and I'm surprised you haven't seen spoilers throughout there, I guess, while looking up names, but that's pretty impressive. I can't wait to talk it. I've never read the books, but I did enjoy the movies a good amount, so
and I'm thinking because I ordered the trilogy, because there's a ton of them, and then I guess his
there's
son took
6 books
over.
total, yeah.
Yeah, so, I ordered it from Target, and it was 3 books, and I did read the first one, like I said, is the first 2 movies, and then they're gonna do another movie, so I might wait to read that book until we get closer to that release date, so it's fresh
Yeah,
in my
Dune
head.
Messiah is the 3rd one, and I don't wanna spoil anything with that yet, so.
Yeah, I've gotten this far, I can keep going. Alright, that's what I've been reading.
Oh, all right. Well, we're going to talk about it, of course. I've read the 3 Ghost Machine books that recently came out: Redcoat, Geiger, Rook Exodus, and then also the Principles of Necromancy, which is by our friends Jackson and Colin, the Hive Mind. I've read those. And then I watched X-Men 97 episode 4. Have you watched that one yet? No, Lauren has not watched that yet. So I'm not going to go into it. I will say this it slows things down. Like the first 3 episodes were very fast paced. This one kind of takes a step back a little bit, but there was a lot of cool things I loved in it, but I won't go into that yet. So since Lauren hasn't seen it yet, I also watched a really, really fun movie, man. One of the more fun movies I've watched in a while. Godzilla X Kong,
Mhm.
The New Empire. I took Oliver, man. If you watched our last episode, my son Oliver came on. We talked Godzilla Kong. Fantastic job. Please go listen to that. Let him know he's super proud. He keeps asking me like to come on and record a podcast again. So we'll see. Maybe he'll start his own podcast here soon. But we did watch that movie and kind of some thoughts. I don't want to really go into spoilers for anybody who might not have seen it, but this movie rocks. Now, they kind of figured out the formula that we don't care about human characters. The human characters are kind of just there to basically bear witness to what is going on and then spell things out for the audience to move the
So they're
plot
the
along.
narrators?
Essentially, they're the ones like witnessing what's going on so they can write the tale of what's happening. But
Mhm.
Godzilla's just basically off completing side quest while King Kong is out here doing the main storyline, Kong gets his ass beat in this movie pretty hard. Like my dude is smart. He sets a lot of traps. He builds a lot of traps, which is really cool to see. You spend a lot of time in Hollow Earth, and he finds there's a really funny scene. I'm going to spoil this scene. It's where he finds these other apes and they kind of start to fight him, even though he doesn't want to fight them. He's like, "Hey, we're family," kind of deal. And there's a little baby ape, and at one point, the
Family
baby
that's
ape.
stealing from Fast and the Furious?
Of course, this movie's Fast and Furious, but from kaiju, pretty much, essentially. It's
Alright, so what happened with the baby ape?
but like the baby ape bites Kong at a point, and he just picks him up by his leg, and then he beats the other apes with the kid, and I'm just like, it's the most savage thing I've ever seen, and
Oh
I'm
my
just
god,
like,
that's terrible.
it's amazing. The baby ape is okay. The baby ape ends up helping out in the end, right? And then they meet the Scar King, and who is controlling Shimu, who is like a girl ice version of Godzilla. And Kong again kind of gets beat up. He gets frostbite on his hand. That's how he gets the golden glove, because of course they were already building like an exosuit for Kong, I guess, at one point or another in the Hollow Earth. Godzilla's just off like fighting Titans. The second he recognizes or senses a Titan on Earth, he's like, it's on sight. So Kong like asks for Godzilla's help. He's up at the pyramids.
Wait, they
Godzilla
team
like,
up?
yeah, so Godzilla swan dives into the ocean, gets to Egypt, and Kong's like, "Hey man, let's talk, let's talk." And Godzilla's like, "Nope." He spears him in the pyramids. They fight a little bit. It's awesome. And then finally they go down into Hollow Earth, and Godzilla's like, all right. And there's a scene where Kong jumps on Godzilla's back and is riding him into battle. It is, dude, if you just want to watch monsters beating monsters, this movie's for you. This movie was for me. I loved it. My only complaint is the fact that people have seemed to have forgotten how to act in movie theaters. I'm
Oh
sitting
my
there.
gosh. I
There's a
noticed that
family.
recently too.
Yeah, right. There's a family sitting, 3 seats down from us. The dad is sitting closest to us. His phone kept ringing. However, it was on vibrate. But people who have the flashing lights on their phone to let the
Mhm.
he had that going off every 5 seconds.
It
This
shouldn't
man
even be on
answered
vibrate, honestly, unless there's like, I don't know, you got a pregnant wife or something. I don't know.
right. Well, this man answered 3 different phone calls during this movie. I'm like, my brother in Christ. What?
Wow. Then
And
you
then he
should
was
hate to watch it at home.
Yeah, honestly. And then there's another family with a baby infant in the movie, which the infant I didn't hear a peep from the whole movie. So shout out to the infant because it acted better than this grown ass man answering phone calls, but
Right. Well,
it
I've
didn't
brought
do the job.
infants, but it was like if they made a peep, I like let's say I didn't see all of Wonder Woman the first time because Logan was an
Right.
infant, but we went during the day, in the middle of the day, weeks after it came out, and I told Kaylee and Jocelyn I might have to leave you guys here. I'll just be in the hallway if I leave. And the second Logan made a noise, but like Kaylee, she saw Bad Santa was her first movie. She was 2 months old, and then Spider-Man 2 was her second movie. She was
Yeah.
10 months old, and she just slept and nursed the whole time. And like, so I have no problem with an infant. Just leave as soon as that infant makes a noise. Just
Yeah.
be
Same.
respectful.
Like,
But, like, we
do
had a
you?
toddler in Ghostbusters, and he was, like, being cute, but he was like, "Whoa," and talking and, like,
You're
"Come
like,
on,
kid,
dude."
shut up. Yeah. Because it just is like, I don't know,
It takes
man.
away
Like,
from your experience, and you're
it's
there
just,
for the movie experience.
yeah. Like, we don't need to talk during the movie. Like, I get it. Like, there's certain scenes where you're like, oh, that's really cool. But like, and it's a toddler, so I don't know. Like, again, if you're gonna take kids or something, I feel like to some of these movies, go when you know it's not prime time movie going time, like
Right,
7 o'clock on a Friday night opening day. Maybe isn't the way to go. I get we all want to see these movies, but overall, man,
right.
I loved it. I give it about an 8.5 out of 10, which is probably higher than a lot of people would rate this movie. Although the audience score has
I
actually
heard
been
it did
really high.
fantastic.
Oh my god, it earned like 160
Like,
billion
beat out
million
Dune.
dollars. Yeah,
I didn't
it
know that
earned
many people were into I mean, they've been around forever, so clearly they have a following.
so many people are into this kind of movie, and the audience score is great. It earned a ton of money. It's doing great. So go watch this movie. God, I loved it so much. It was so good. I really want to go see Monkey Man that comes out this weekend. I don't know if I'm going to see that. Still haven't seen Ghostbusters. And then next week on the 12th is Civil War. So I want to go see those. Hopefully I can get to go see those. But let's move into some news
I hope
this
Universal
week.
can make a good King Kong ride one day. Or
Yeah.
if
Oh, actually, I was thinking about that. There's a sequence when they're on their ship flying through, following Kong, and I was like, and then they like fly through these birds. I'm thinking Universal's going to make this a ride at some point, and it's going to be super immersive, 4D, all that kind of stuff.
I hate they need to back away from the 40, and I think they know that a lot of people don't like it because like their two newest rides that are really good are Hagrid's and Velocicoaster, and they don't rely on any
Yeah.
of that garbage. But the original King Kong ride, I don't know if you ever went on that one. It was so cheesy, but it was funny cheesy because you're like in I can't even remember. It's been so long since I've been on it, but it's like you're in like one of those things. It's like the Skyliner at Disney kind of thing, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
Kong
Yeah.
like grabs it, but he's so slow and it's so fake, but you're like flying above like the city and then they redid it not long ago. It's probably longer ago than I realized. And now it's all 4D and you're driving through and there's screens on both sides and you're getting shaken back and forth.
It's
I
like the
don't remember.
Transformers ride.
Yes, it's exactly like
Yeah.
the Transformers ride,
And
but
I don't
I
really
like the
like that one too
Transformers
much.
ride more. I don't like those rides all make me nauseous.
Yeah. There's something about it. I'm just like, I don't know. Not really a
It's
big
Skull
fan.
Island. It's Kong Skull Island is the ride now.
Okay.
But
Well,
yeah, they need to update that.
figure it out.
And it's like the Fast and Furious ride, which is the worst ride ever.
Hey, you know what? No slander.
No,
No
there's
slander.
not a person out there who doesn't agree that that is a terrible ride.
You know what?
The
Anyways,
one
let's
thing
go into
everyone
some
can agree
news.
on is that it is a terrible ride.
Well, something that's also equally terrible is Matrix 5 is in the works.
That's equally terrible?
I
I
didn't
don't
like the
remember
last
4.
Matrix. Matrix 4 is very forgettable. It was good seeing like Keanu Reeves, Trinity, she was back too, but it was very much just boring. Nothing happened. Yeah, I don't know. We don't need a Matrix 5.
Rewatch
Nobody's
that.
asking for Matrix 5, in my opinion.
What was the
Uh,
first movie? It was like in the 90s. I remember my dad's
99.
screensaver was The Matrix, the green like
Oh,
letters
it was
looking
so
thing.
many people's personality back then. Yeah.
That's so funny. Yeah, Matrix is
So
big, man.
apparently, Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2 has been doing really well with the audience, which is really
It's
surprising
out
because
already?
it's in theaters. People have
Oh,
seen it, and
don't
like
tell
I've seen
Brielle.
really positive reviews. The first one, absolutely worst movie I've ever seen in my life. And so we're getting this Who versus whatever going on. And now there has been a trailer for Bambi the Reckoning, which is the next installment in this dark horror Avengers style Pooniverse, which will follow Xana and her son Benji, who get into a car accident and are soon hunted by Bambi. The trailer looked absolutely ridiculous. I'm the problem. I'm going to watch this because, again, I am the problem and I have to watch it for myself. I'm going to watch Pooh, Blood, and Honey 2 at some point. I will report back when I do. And so we'll see about that. Something else that I'm not overly excited for is there was a trailer getting ready to drop on April 10th for Joker. The World is a Stage, and it drops October 4th, 2024. I didn't overly care for the first one. I know a lot of people are excited.
I liked it. I thought it was so dark and so interesting. And the more I see of this one, I'm actually kind of getting excited. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
It looks very artsy, it looks very neat. And like I thought the Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix, it was so unexpected and so true and gritty. And like, I don't know, I thought it was really good. So at first when I heard this, I'm like,
the duality of this podcast, for example.
Well, I mean, yeah, if we agreed on everything, this would be boring. But I'm looking forward to it. I think it's gonna be pretty cool. I might actually see this one in the theater.
I'm gonna see it. I will. I watch everything, man. I don't care if I know I'm not gonna like it, or maybe I'll be surprised, because that's one thing you don't know until you watch it. So,
hey, Supernatural.
Maybe, who knows? Exactly. Prime example. I did watch an episode of that this past week. I'm almost done with season 10, but my last bit of news is that Julia Garner, who plays Ruth in Ozark, has been cast as the Silver Surfer in the Fantastic Four movie. She will be playing Shala Ball, who sometimes appears as the Silver Surfer's girlfriend, who does Silver Surfer things and travels through like the multiverse and whatever Silver Surfer does. I do know what Silver Surfer does, but we'll probably do a whole episode on who she is and Fantastic Four and everything of that as the movie draws closer. I don't know if it's still coming out next summer. It's still on the books for that. I think it's supposed to start production this summer. But yeah, so we got a Silver Surfer. This is going to be taking place in a different universe. I'm excited. I think it's something that's fresh, new. We're not just rehashing like, here's Silver Surfer right off the bat. No, we're getting a different take. I'm pretty excited. And she's a great actress too.
Oh my gosh, I loved her in Ozark. What's interesting though is I've only seen her in Ozark. I know she's done other stuff, but so in Ozark she's so just loud and snippy and just but she's fantastic, especially because she's like about 2 inches tall. But this only Silver Surfer I really know is the main one, who's just so calm and like very boring. So I feel like it's such a twist, but I mean, she might still act like that. I don't know, because I don't know anything about this Silver Surfer comic book wise, but we will before it comes out.
We will. What news do you have?
So Frank the writer, I actually saw him on JJ's podcast yesterday. So he was live, so I popped on real quick, and I thought this was really cool. If you've been following us for a while, we've had Frank the writer on many times. Frank Martin. He does all sorts of different comic books, from like noir type murder mystery things to Disney and space kind of thing. It's space, or grim space is what he's like kind of promoting right now. And so on Free Comic Book Day, he will actually be releasing a Steamboat Willie comic for Free Comic Book Day. And that's going to be leading into his second, why do I keep saying space? It's Grim Space. We read the last one. It was really good. We had him on. It was so cool. There's all sorts of like nods to like, it's not necessarily Disney movies. It's grim fairy tales is what the nods are to. But with a cool twist, a little dark twist. So he's promoting that, and there will be a free comic on that. I would highly recommend following him on Kickstarter. Just look up Frank Martin. Dead Boys Detective. We've talked about this before. We've been talking about this for a few years because it was supposed to be coming out on HBO. It is now coming out on Netflix April 25th. So it is about 2 teenage ghosts who work alongside a clairvoyant to solve mysteries for their supernatural clients until a powerful witch messes up their plans. So it's based on the comics by Neil Gaiman, and they'll be working on this with DC and Warner Brothers and everything, and Jeremy Carver Productions, which, if that name sounds familiar, he did Doom Patrol, and he did this little show I kind of like called Supernatural. I did watch the trailer. It looks really good. I know that Metalcore Nerds, I couldn't remember the podcast.
Sean, yeah.
Metalcore Nerds has seen this. He's going to be reviewing it. He said he cannot say anything yet, but he gave me a smiley face. So I'm very excited for this. It was supposed to be a spinoff of Doom Patrol. I guess that's not happening now. I did watch the trailer and I saw Rowena in it, and Rowena was in Doom Patrol as well.
Oh, no.
Third season of X-Men 97 is already in development. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody.
Not at all.
this next piece of news is super freaking sad. Took me by surprise, as I'm sure it took everybody by surprise. The season 2 of Gen V has halted production because Chance Perdomo has passed away at 27 in a motorcycle accident. He played Andre, one of the main characters in the show. I don't know what they will do. He seems like he would be irreplaceable. He was so good
Yeah,
in that role. But for now, I think they're just taking time to mourn and,
as they should. I mean, we
yeah.
shouldn't rush this at all. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely really unfortunate because he was in Sabrina on Netflix, which I really enjoyed. And again, yeah, he was like a really main piece of Gen V. And it's 27 years old on a motorcycle accident. Like that's just out of nowhere shocking. It's insane. And yeah, take all the time they need. Obviously, we're gonna be here for the season, figure it out, and it's just tragic all around.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. So what everyone, when my brother got a motorcycle, it's like everybody was, don't you want to see your daughter grow up? They're scary. They're fun,
They
but
are
they're scary.
scary. Well, this is like also another thing is you can't trust people driving either. It's like people these days I feel like are so distracted driving. I see it every day. I almost got ran off the road the other day, get on the highway. This
Hmm.
girl staring at her phone, just driving on her phone, and she almost sideswiped me. I'm just like, what are we doing? And then I was like,
Right.
I drove past her and she's still just glued to her. I was like, what the hell are we doing?
It's like, yeah, there's a game you can play. Are they drunk or are they on their phone?
Yeah. Yeah.
But moving on to other news. So Wonder Woman and Shazam are coming to, I guess, Hulu and Disney Plus are releasing a whole bunch of stuff, and they're now you can see some of the DC movies over there on Hulu.
Huh?
I think it's Hulu, not Disney Plus. But Disney's, yeah, getting. I've seen a bunch of HBO stuff on Netflix lately too, like Sex and the City was on there, and I don't know what HBO's doing, but
I think they had to shop it around to these other streaming sites because of money or something. I don't know.
you mean changing their name to just Max didn't fix
Warner
everything?
Brothers is a mess. That's all I'm going to say about that. They are so poorly ran. It's insane.
So yeah, so you can find some of those movies other places now. Kevin Smith has a new movie coming out.
Oh, I saw this.
So the 430 movie will be written and directed by Kevin Smith. It is set in 1986, and it is a coming-of-age story about three 16-year-olds who spend their Saturdays sneaking into movies at the local multiplex. But when one of the guys also invites the girl of his dreams to see the latest comedy, each of the teens will learn something serious about life and love before the credits roll. Of course, his daughter is going to be in this, and Method Man, and Justin Long is also in a lot of his movies. But he comments on how it's set, before we all had cell phones and everything in the 80s, and it's gonna have a lot of Kevin Smith in it, I hope. So
Oh,
we
yeah.
shall see. I'm always excited for a Kevin Smith movie.
It sounds like it's a John Hughes meets Kevin Smith almost because it sounds like a premise John Hughes would have done in the 80s with his coming of age tales that he does. But
Yeah, that's probably a good
Kevin
description,
Smith
I would
spin on
think.
it. Yeah. I'm
Mhm.
excited. That sounds really cool. I'm excited for this. It's something a little different too. It's not the traditional Clerks or Mallrats or Jay and Silent Bob. It's
Well,
set something different now.
I would have liked that Dogma too, but I fucking loathe April 1st. If anybody saw, like,
April
Kevin Smith
1st
posted something
sucks.
about Dogma, and that poster was great. It was the hand, the Da Vinci
Yeah.
painting with the, God reaching to man, but he was handing him a joint. Like that, what a beautiful poster that would have been for a second Dogma movie. We
Or is
should.
Dogma remastered is what they were saying coming back because he
Mhm.
doesn't have the rights to it. What is a Weinstein production? So
Right.
they basically you can't find any copies of it. Just
Yeah, I watched
I
it
hate
on
April Fool's
YouTube
Day.
last time I watched it. I do too. I hate it so much. At least I have learned over the years not to believe anything.
Yeah.
Doesn't make this stuff not hurt anymore. Oh, I have a one piece of beer news. So Hops Baron,
Oh,
you've heard us
yes.
talk about them quite a bit. They do the brines, they do the barbecue rubs. They're fantastic. You don't have to be into beer to like them at all. Like I put their stuff on mac and cheese. I put it on everything.
I
You
put it in
can
my
now find,
eggs, my
yeah,
guacamole, everything, man. Yeah.
it's so good. I even use it to rim micheladas and Bloody Marys. So you can now actually find some of their rubs on Amazon. So you literally just search
Ooh.
Hops Barons. And
It's
make
really
sure you
good.
use the smile before Amazon. If anybody doesn't know about that, you can set it up so every time you buy something, Amazon like donates some to like your charity that you pick or something.
Oh, cool.
So I have
I
it
didn't know
set up
that.
so St. Jude gets like a piece of something every so often. I don't know.
We're giving the
But
kids coffee rub.
and it doesn't cost you anything. So there you go.
No, yeah, Hot Barons is awesome. Really great barbecue. It is barbecue season coming up.
And
Check
they're a
them
small
out.
business. Yeah.
Yes. And so, with that said, we will be right back in just a moment to talk about Ghost Machine, Minor Threats, Principles of Necromancy. Catch you in a minute. Welcome back, everybody. Like I said, we're going to be talking some Ghost Machine, which consists of Geiger, Redcoat, Rook Exodus. Those are the first three to drop April 3rd for Ghost Machine Day. We also have Minor Threats, The Fastest Way Down by Jordan Blum and Patton Oswalt, who we have actually talked to about this comic book on Nerd Initiative recently. And then, of course, the Principles of Necromancy from our friends Jackson Lansing, Colin Kelly, and Eamon Winkle as the artist. So we're going to start with Geiger first and foremost. Jeff Johns and Gary Frank are your writers. Brad Anderson, Rob Lay, Gary Frank and Brad Anderson did lettering. All sorts of really, really good creators. Ivan Reese, Danny Miki, Brad Anderson did some covers. Lots of good stuff. Geiger actually came out a couple of years ago. There was an issue coming out. It's about a devoted husband and father, Tariq Geiger, who was stricken by a debilitating cancer. Desperate to be there for his family, Tariq fought the disease as hard as he could. When the mysterious conflict known as the Unknown War erupted and the bombs fell, Tariq was caught in the fallout and transformed into the Glowing Man. After discovering his family did not survive in the nuclear fallout shelter he had built, this nuclear nomad walks the irradiated desert looking for any excuse to share his rage with evildoers he deems deserving. And also, fun fact, he has Barney the Two-Headed Wolf, who's his radiated animal that goes with him. In the previous Geiger issues, he took down the Vegas King, and now we finally have him in this issue. I highly recommend catching up with what Geiger was doing previously to this. Lauren, what were your thoughts on this?
So yeah, if anybody hasn't, like Matt said, this story goes back a little bit. But if you feel overwhelmed and you don't want to do that, you really don't need to. So this was the one that was released that I'm holding up now, which we've posted a bunch, was released a couple months ago, and that catches you up on everything. And then this new one, not much happened in this specific one, but what I loved about it was Geiger, when we first heard about him, when we first talked to Jeff Johns and everybody on Nerd Initiative about it, they were like, he lost his family and he's become like a villain. But I don't see that in him. I see him as somebody who's just alone in the world and angry at the world at what, he was supposed to die before his family, and then turn of events, unfortunately, and he's just going through a lot, but he has this power and he's utilizing it. But what I thought was really cool in this is he meets somebody who basically told him, you inspired me to want to be a better person. So I thought that was really cool, and I think it's going to show that Geiger is not what Geiger thinks he is. I think he's more of like a Wolverine, kind of like, I ain't no hero.
That's the vibe I got. He's like very doesn't want to be a hero, but at his core, he does the right thing.
Right. And we saw that too in the now I'm forgetting which one it was, but you saw him. I feel like how you see a lot of characters, especially in comic books, how they treat kids is a good indication of if they're a good person, unless they're in the mob, because mob bosses, there was actually a study and they linked it to Sopranos, which was really cool, that like mob bosses love babies and animals, but they'll lack anything else. Yeah. I don't know what it is. And they did a great job in Sopranos. I know you never watched that, but that was really cool when they connected that study with his therapist.
Yeah.
The whole show, he's going to a therapist, and that's how it starts, because he has anxiety attacks. So he starts, and of course he's against going to the therapist at first, and then that relationship evolves. But everybody should watch Sopranos. It's so good. But yeah, I mean, I like this one. This one I felt like was short and sweet, especially compared to the last one and everything we've read with Geiger. But yeah, I love this character. Absolutely. I love a good hero who doesn't want to be a hero.
Well, I also like that his big hobby is reading,
Yes.
He's like this badass that roams the desert. This particular issue picks up where he's like this old Western town. It gives like 1800s Old West vibes, because that's kind of, the earth got reset because of nuclear holocaust. And this group of bad guys comes to the town. They're going to steal the kids. And then Geiger just kind of beats them all down in brutal fashion, saves the day, and then just kind of leaves. And they're like, we had no idea you were the Glowing Man. And he leaves. And that's when he finds out he's being followed by who he calls Knight, because the guy left the Vegas crew after he took him down. And now he's like, you've inspired me. I want to be a better person. I was very scared. So that's why I followed along with everything. And he's just like, go away, dude.
Right. Well, what I thought was interesting too is what that guy said. He goes, I was 15 when everything went down. So this was still a child that was very shapeable, mind not fully developed, shocked at, his world coming to an end and everything he knows. So of course you're going to cling to the first adult that's like, follow me. So that made sense that was how he went, and that, he wasn't made to be bad. He wasn't, ingrained with evilness.
It's a product of the world.
There was a better way. Yeah, it was a product of his time.
I'll say that there's shots and panels in this scene, like what they do really well with the flashbacks kind of reminds me of like Punisher with John Byrne, where he like flashes to the days with his family. But I like that, like, because it shows that he was a human. He was this loving, kind father. There's a sequence where they flash back to where he's renewing his vows with his wife. And it's this very
Mhm.
sweet moment. He's like this middle-aged man who has just like glasses. He just looks like a very, and now he's turned into like this hardened,
Normal dude.
yeah, character. And I really like that. The flashback to, no, this was a real person. This was like a human being who had a life. And yeah, he had cancer and he had kids, and he saw the little flower which reminded him of his daughter Violet. And it's just a tragic tale. And but they do some really good, like, when he fights the army off, there's really good like one shot panels that are just, the action sequences are done really well. Shout out to the crew here, for drawing this extremely well, for coloring this really well. Rob Lay on the letters are really well done, just extenuating like what's going on. And overall, I really really dug this first issue.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, let's go into my personal most anticipated Ghost Machine book, which is Redcoat, which was created by Jeff Johns and Brian Hitch. And the letters again by Rob Lay. Brad Anderson has a hand in this as well. And then Ivan Reese and Danny Amiki have also done some cover work on this. It's essentially takes place starting off during the Revolutionary War. We meet Simon, who is this cowardly redcoat.
It
He
was
runs away.
hilarious.
Yeah, he runs away from the Battle of Trenton, and he's trying to get away, and he stumbles upon this cult ritual that's going on. Well, it turns out that cult ritual that's going on is Benjamin Franklin, and he's trying to gain some sort of like mystic powers, but he falls through the ceiling. And instead of Benjamin Franklin getting these mystical powers, our lovable idiot Simon ends up with these powers. And it's kind of him talking about it and going through. He's very much a self-proclaimed coward. He knows, he's very self-depreciating. He's very self-aware of who he is at his core. And something
Mhm.
about that to me endears me a bit to him. Like, he doesn't seem like he's a bad person, but he's very much like not going out of his way to face danger head on. He's like, no,
He's
screw
about
this.
himself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, he really is.
Self-preservation.
That's all it is. He's about himself, and who could blame him? And he talks about how the first time he got shot, he ended up waking up, and he's been on the run from the cult that was supposed to give Benjamin Franklin his powers. Which I love, this alternative take on American history, because
Mhm.
at the end we meet a kid who's kind of following him, and he digs him out of a grave, and this kid turns out to be Albert Einstein. And I just
Right.
absolutely love the liberties they're taking, because it's not a historical book
Well,
about,
yeah, it is, but
it
it's
is, but it's not.
it's
It's
total
it's like a
fiction.
Quentin Tarantino style take on things. If you know Quentin Tarantino, like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where
Mhm.
he takes liberties killing Charles Manson. It's kind of like that, where it's historically accurate as far as like the uniforms and the weapons, but it's like
And
this
the timeline.
alternative, yeah, the timeline of events, but it's Simon having an impact on these events. And what they do really well in this is their beautiful one-shot panels that are just really well done, man. I think that's the strengths, is the detail and the coloring, the detail and the artistry, just absolutely amazing. And then I like what Jeff Johns does in this, where he's calling him an idiot. Like, he's very
Mhm.
appreciating him throughout, but in like a funny, lovable, endearing manner. What did you think about this?
This one was actually my favorite of the 3. I very much so enjoyed all 3, but, the one I'm looking forward to the most is First Ghost, which hasn't come out yet. But no, this
Oh
was
yeah.
so much fun. I really enjoyed it. I love when they do that, even if it's not historically accurate at all. I think it's still fun. It's like in Invincible, the immortal was Abraham Lincoln. Like, I just think it's, like, so funny. Like, he's lived so long. At one point, he was president. And so I think they're not taking themselves seriously. And I think, and they're bringing in magic and everything. And yeah, this guy, everybody hates him, but he's suave, and like he ends up, well, he doesn't end up surviving, because his whole thing is he gets killed and comes back. But he gave me like Captain Jack Harkness vibes.
Oh,
And
that's a good comparison. Yeah.
I almost feel like it's like, well, if you're destined to just never be able to die, you got to have a sense of humor about it. And obviously, you're going to piss people off if you've like lived that long and
Oh,
you're
you're
just
gonna
trying
make
to get
enemies for sure.
by. Yeah, and, like, think how exhausting it is if you can never retire, you can never, you just have to constantly keep going. And he also said he's always hungry and thirsty, like, that's never been satisfied since this happened, to him. So, he's hilarious. I'm all
I
for
do.
it.
Yeah, I like that part. It was he's always hungry, always, which got to be the worst, man. Like, you're never full, and then not to mention he's always
Angry.
broke. He has no
Yeah,
money ever, which is also kind of funny, because you'd think that you'd have figured out a way by now, if you're living all this time, to have some sort of money, but he doesn't.
right. Or invest in something that, in 50 years,
Yeah.
yay, look at this. My investment crew. I mean, I guess you need to have a DeLorean to really be able to maximize that.
Because he can't time travel, so he has no idea what's gonna work, what doesn't, but he's always broke. He goes to that inn where that girl he was with at one point, and he's like, "Hey, what's up?" And she's just like sells him out to the people
That
that
was
are after
funny.
him.
Just
And
put the lantern in the window. Yeah.
yeah, she sells him out pretty fast. This book has a lot of humor. I cannot speak enough about how much I really enjoyed this particular book. Do you have anything else you want to say on it before we move to Rook?
No, let's move on
Let's
to
go
Rook. It's really
into
good too.
Rook Exodus. Yeah, another really good book where this is on like they are on a different planet.
And it's in the
And
future. So basically, they
yes,
destroyed Earth. So they had to go find another planet. And then they destroyed that planet, or that planet destroyed them. We don't really know which.
we don't know yet. However, they have these helmets that allows them to connect with whatever animal these helmets. So there is, the pig helmet, so that lets him connect with the pigs. And then
One of
we
which
have
is
Rook.
named Pumbaa.
Yes. We have Rook, who has his bird helmet. So he connects with the birds. He can tell them to leave, like they're hungry. He's like, I can tell they're always hungry. They're telling me how hungry they are. Me too, man. Like they're trying to find food. Food is scarce. This now new earth they went to be their salvation is potentially going to be their tomb. And he
Right.
came
And a
here.
lot of people already left to go back to regular Earth
Yeah.
to flee. And they're still there. They're kind of stuck.
And this one's a lot more serious. I like that we had like Geiger, which is serious, and then Redcoat, which was very unserious, and now we're back to Rook, which is very serious again. It was kind of like it's like a sandwich, man. I like having that
Yeah.
unseriousness in the middle. And the artwork again, Jason Fabok was one of the Jason
The,
Fabok. We have, of course, Jeff Johns
Ivan.
working on this.
Yeah. And then Ivan Reese and Danny Miki again.
Yeah,
And
but
yeah.
the talent on this and the color work on this, the artwork is really great. There's some again really good one shot panels, and you're kind of they suck you in with this shroud of mystery. What is going on? Like this planet's dying. How are they going to get off? Where are they going to go? They don't have many options. You only really meet one other character, and something
Mhm.
that has happened is these animals have mutated. So we get this giant bear and this battle with this giant bear at a point, which I thought was one of the better fight sequences that I've read in a book lately. Like it's just beautifully drawn, this massive bear. What did you
Yeah.
think about it?
Yeah, this one was definitely like more detailed and stuff because they're showing like the abandoned city that they created as their salvation kind of place. And it's just so detailed. Like I had to stop for a minute and like look around at all these tiny little details and how beautiful and dark it was at the same time.
Oh yeah.
I thought this one was great too because we got an origin story, which this isn't the first Rook one. Like we said before, they came out with a massive ghost machine.
80-page
Was it
one shot,
like
basically.
early February, late January? Yeah.
I want to say it was like February or something like that, where they came out with this 80-page to basically introduce you into this world, but they left you on like cliffhangers because you wanted more and you wanted. And
Right. They
it
were
was real.
teasing
I
us.
wanted more. Yeah, like it's a big tease, an 80-page tease for all their stories.
But it was $5 for that 80-page tease. So it wasn't like, oh, I got to go buy this trade back or whatever. No, it was $5 and it's like thick, nice pages. Well, it had to
Yeah.
be January because it was out when we were at MegaCon, which MegaCon was
Oh
February.
yeah. That's right. So it was definitely
Um,
January.
so I'm sure you can still go get that. But we didn't know his origin story. We didn't know why he ended up on this planet Exodus. And they talk about it in there. And it's a very tragic origin story with like, their farm going to shit on Earth. And I mean, I feel like there's a lesson in here. Like, don't flee the planet.
We're
Stick to
destroying
the
our planet, man.
Yeah.
We're
Stop.
seeing it now before
Stick.
our eyes.
It's the only planet we have. It's the only planet we know. Like, even if we
Yeah.
find another one that we can go off into the lightest speed, like, or
Well, it's a tale of humans. We
yeah,
destroy everything we touch. We go to this new planet. We've destroyed that one too. It's like, what are we doing?
create, don't destroy.
But hey, don't use that plastic straw, even though,
I don't use that plastic straw.
I know. I'm just saying, like, all these corporations these days are trying to make us feel like we're the guilty party. But yeah.
Never knock somebody for doing a good change. Don't say like, "Yo, what is your plastic straws going to do? You're still doing
Oh,
this."
it
At least
starts
they're
with
doing
one person. Yeah, they're doing something.
exactly. You're doing something. So pray, like, hey, that's awesome. You should also try reusable cups. Don't. I hate when people are like that. What? Well, the whales are more important than the turtles. Yes, let's save both. But right now, we're focusing on the
Yeah,
turtle.
why don't we save all of the animals? I mean,
Just do what you can.
God,
Nobody's
pick up your
perfect.
trash. But
Oh
that's the
my
lesson we're
god.
taking from Rook Exodus, man. Just
Yes, there you go.
try
Go
to
to the
take
beach,
care of
clean
the
up the
planet
trash.
so that way we don't get stuck scavenging for food, fighting giant
On a
bears on an
planet, yeah,
alternate
with
Earth.
exactly. Do you wanna be eaten by a bear the size of your house?
I know
No?
a
Okay,
lot of us
good.
are
Don't
playing
litter.
Helldivers out there right now, and there's a lot of bugs and things after us, and those planets are bleak wastelands too. So you know what? I don't want to live like that. I enjoy going outside and running, and I hate pollen, but you know what? I would miss
Oh my
pollen
god. The pollen
if
is
I.
insane.
Yeah, it's just yeah. Take care of the planet, man.
Save the
Now
planet. Hey, it is April. We should do a save the planet
we
episode.
should do a
Get
Captain
on our
Planet
high
episode.
horses.
All right,
Yes, we're gonna get
well,
our pedestals and record from them.
we are. We're gonna go
All
out there
right.
on Earth Day, but I'm gonna throw this one to you. So, Minor Threats: The Fastest Way Down by Patton Oswalt, Jordan Bloom, Scott Hepburn. We talked about this book, and this has kind of been like your baby from Dark Horse. So, I want you to take the lead on this. Tell us a little bit about it and what you thought.
So, Minor Threats, last year they released a 4-issue run introducing us to these characters. Frankie is your main character throughout. Basically, in that run, we get introduced to Frankie, and Nerd Initiative did just do an episode recapping all of that. If you don't want to go pick up the trade back, which I honestly don't need to, but I highly recommend doing so.
Oh, it's so good.
It is so good, yeah. So she's basically getting out of jail. She ended up in jail because she was raised by a villain mother. She gets out of jail. She's trying to keep her act clean, trying to get her daughter back, but it tale as old as time. Nobody wants to hire a convicted or somebody who was in jail, especially somebody with abilities or a meta, a mutant, anything like that. Like they definitely don't want to hire that. So of course she ends up kind of falling into her old ways in the first run because she's like, okay, this last job, I'm just going to do this. It's always the last job. And how the events of that kind of wrapped up led to what they just released. There is a spinoff called The Alternates.
Oh, yeah.
They're connected, but they're not connected at the same time. It's like you'll get little Easter eggs, but you don't need to. I always say you don't need to read one or the other, but it's always more fun to know more of the world. And they're building this universe out more and more. So I think it's going to be a lot more fun. There's a lot of Easter eggs in the background. So you'll just, it's like that end credit scene or like knowing that, that Leonardo DiCaprio moment. It's just more fun. So this just kicked off the fastest way down yesterday or this past Wednesday. And Frankie has become like the godmother of Redcoat. And Redcoat is the area where the villains live. So like this story is not about superheroes. It's about villains, but it's not even about like Joker and Two-Face.
They're
It's
all
about
like
those.
C-list villains. Yeah.
Yeah. But Frankie has like taken over and she's just kicking ass and taking names. And she got her daughter back. And everybody thinks that she's this great person, but she has this big secret of how she kind of got to where she is, which might kind of be exposed and it could ruin her or hurt her. But she's just doing so great. And it's so funny too, because you got to keep in mind, it's Patton Oswalt. So obviously it's going to be funny.
Oh,
So it's
yeah.
like she's on top of the world, but she's fighting the Holiday Squad, which is literally a group of bad guys dressed as
There's like an Easter
Santa.
bunny and
Yeah.
Santa. Yeah.
And they're making puns about their holidays and stuff. But you still, with her being a woman, like she's still getting the jokes of, well, you're just a woman, or like she invites them over for dinner because they hijacked her hijack. So, again, tale as old as time. So she invites them over and they're like, well, we're not going to do this, but you can always make us dinner again. You ladies are really good at cooking. And so I had just actually watched Griselda when I read this the first time. So it was giving me Griselda vibes mixed with, superhero vibes. So very much so Mob meets The Boys kind of thing, but less gory. That's how I'm, and if you want, I feel like I just gave all my opinions there. Absolutely fantastic. It's been one of my favorite comics last year. And I thought this was even better than the last one. Like when I read this first issue, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. I'm loving this. So I love where they're taking her. Her ability is that anytime she tries to create a weapon, it's like a toy. So she has like a super sweet like Lego gun. And I actually saw yesterday, Jordan Hepburn posted, I took a screenshot of it. So Dark Horse just said you can play like games or something.
Oh, it's on Roblox. Yes. Jordan
It's a
Blum
Roblox.
put on, they were bringing this universe and it's on Roblox, which I know a lot of parents out there know what Roblox is. You can get on your kid's iPad, tablet, whatever. But it is like a game version of this now, and it is on Roblox. Yes.
So it says complete Minor Threats themed quests every Wednesday in April to earn the Frankie Follis UGC collection. And like she's got some fun weapons. It's
Yeah.
it's like this one has like a punch thing coming out of something else. Like it looks like you press the trigger and like a little punch thing comes out. So that's really cool. Definitely check this out. I'm loving it. That's all I
Check it
got.
out. It's
My
a very
reviews
good
on Nerd
comic book.
Initiative.
Yeah, nerdinitiative.com is where our written reviews are for all of these. And then the final book that we have to talk about today is the Principles of Necromancy from Magma Comics. which is the first creator owned comic series that Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly have done in 8 years. You know, they've been killing it on Marvel with Thunderbolts, and they've been on IDW with Star Trek, and then they've been doing a lot of great things with Outsiders on DC. Well, now they're going to Magma Comics, which is a brand new comic book company.
This is their first creator-owned comic, right?
Yep. In 8 years, yes, the first creator owned they've done. And this is also like Magma Comics' very first like introduction in they're on the comic book scene now. And if this is where they start, I can't wait to see where they go, because this was a hell of a book. Eamon Winkle did the artwork for this, and man, it's basically about this necromancer. He shows up. It's like these Vikings are at war with this other tribe or something like that. They don't really explain, but it's like a Viking group. The Viking king is hurt, and the necromancer shows up and is like, I can, you don't have to die.
Just have to agree to my terms. That's why I imagine he talked.
A bit, well, like his eyes are soulless and dark and creepy.
Oh my gosh, it's like creepier than Coraline.
Yeah, this book is gory. It's very
creepy,
creepy, horrible, but you can't look away also at the same time. And he does whatever the necromancer does on the Viking King, and he turns him to like this creature. And they all go to war again, and they lose again. And now the Viking King's son
they
comes
just keep
back.
coming back. We failed again. Fix us again. Like they're never gonna learn.
No, he keeps, and so he turns them all into like these creatures, and he puts like his claw crab creepy. Kind of reminds me of Beetlejuice. You remember we had like that long...
Yes, I thought the same thing. The Beetlejuice. That was exactly where my head went. Yeah, and that was when I had to like jump back from the screen. I was like not expecting that.
Yeah,
it's like Beetlejuice meets Plague Mask.
Yes. And he's like, don't look behind the curtain no matter what, while he's doing his thing. And man, and then like halfway through the book, after he works on the Viking King's son, the art takes like a shift, but in a really cool way, because it's like he's in this weird afterlife where the pages go from like this gray, black, red, bloody gore to like this yellow dreamlike sequence with really excellent fine line work, really excellent shading, coloring. And again, the story is like this really creepy, slow burn almost, because you just are asking yourself a million questions like, who is this necromancer? Right. What are these people doing going back, seeing that they're transformed into these ugly, awful creatures? And
you know, it reminded me of Tusk.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, God. Oh, man. Dude. That's a good comparison too.
Haunted me. I just
it's burned into your brain for life now.
It so is. I close my eyes and I see Justin Long as a walrus.
Yeah,
I'll never be the same.
It is so good. Magma Comics is on the scene, and they made some noise with this comic book. And Jack and Colin, man, they got themselves, like, you're used to seeing them in the superhero Star Trek world, like this
being a little funny too. And
this is straight. They play it straight in this, and it's freaking good. And the art, again, I can't speak enough about how much I really enjoyed each and every page. And it was very creepy. I will tell you that. Don't let your kids read it. But that's kind of my thoughts on this book.
Oh, actually, that's another thing I read this week. I finished their Guardians of the Galaxy run.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, when I'm reading their comics now, I always look for Colin's sense of humor now. And I didn't get that in this. It was just dark and creepy.
No,
I wouldn't be surprised if we get some dark humor in the next issue or coming up or something.
Oh, I'm sure there's going to be so much dark humor, plague humor, things like that again, just to play off it. But yeah, this was a really good book. I can't wait to read more. I can't wait to see more from Magma Comics.
Get more origin. Oh, and then the cover of the next one looks creepier because it's the guy in the mask, like going like behind a child.
Yeah.
What are they doing next?
It's going to be good. And pick it up, pick all these books up, go to your local comic book shop. Make sure you grab these. That has been a recap on these books. Go ahead, go to your comic book shop. What do you have?
If you can't get to your local comic book shop or you prefer them digitally, the Omnibus app actually has Ghost Machine and quite a few of the other comics as well if you like reading them digitally.
And they're on iPhone, and they've been testing on Android too, so it's out there. Make sure you download that. Then go ahead, go to nerdinitiative.com where all of our reviews are at. Each and every week, that's where we drop them. Tuesday for DC, Wednesday for everything else, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can start reading our reviews there. As always, make sure you like, subscribe, share to the channel, to our podcast. Drop a review. Let us know how we're doing, even if we're doing bad for you. I don't know. Just let us know. And then, as always, support the show, patreon.com/HopsGeekNews. And then there was no Cantina Hour last week, but we will probably be back this week with some fine Cantina Hour. Only way to know that, though, is to subscribe. Do so. Thanks for hanging out with us. We will see you guys next time. Cheers, folks.